Welcome to the Hank Cisco Show, ladies and gentlemen. Don't touch that dial. Listen, if you are a parent, if you're an aunt, an uncle, or whatever, and you have children, and you stick by this TV and watch this show. My guest today is a district judge, okay? They have a lot of different fancy names, you know, how do you say that?
Magisterial district judge.
Right, I could get to that. Okay, and that's a district 38101. That's the district. So we have so many district judges throughout Montgomery County. And she is located in East Norton. And I just want to say, you know, start off because I asked you to come here because you are, in my opinion, and the people I've talked to, you're one of the most respected judges in Montgomery County. And I just want you to know that. I'm just let you, put that feather in your hat, okay?
Thank you.
But a judge today is so important because, especially with children, the fact is now that the judge, years ago, the district justice did not get involved with juveniles. It used to go to juvenile court. They didn't find juveniles before the juvenile court judges. But, they did before the juvenile court judges. But now they changed it where a truancy, where the juvenile, the parent, goes before the district judges. Is that, am I right?
That's correct.
Okay, and that has to do with truancy. Now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce. Tell me who you are now. I'm
Esther Casillo. Hi, everybody.
It's Casillo now. It's not with a T. Okay, with an L. So I keep saying Costello. No relation to Abbott and Costello.
No, none whatsoever.
But let me say, I just appreciate. I was in your court here the other day, and on a particular case, and I was glad that they used that term, common pleas court judge. Well, you're not a common pleas court judge, a district judge. Okay.
Right.
But the most important thing a judge uses is common sense, and that's the term they use, and that's what I think that it's needed today so much, because a judge sees a case one way, a policeman sees another way, and you see things where family disputes, murders, rapes, everything. So you're there, almost, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a district court judge, your courtroom is almost like a receiving ward in a hospital. They come in, got a broken leg or this, that, and you can either take care of it there or you send them up, okay, to the court.
That's a good analogy.
All right. That or they go to get operated on by,
right.
Anyway, right. So your court is one of the most important to settle family matters and also to make sure that somebody's getting a fair shake. And I think that's the most important thing. So now I'm doing all the talking, Judge.
Oh, that's okay. But we are the entrance to the judicial system.
Right.
For the common people. And when they come in, whether it's a civil case, if it's a criminal case, it starts in our court. And our court will then determine where that case should go.
Right.
Okay, but it does start at our level.
Right. And you have to make the decision.
On many of the cases,
right,
yes.
Right.
Well, actually, on all the cases.
And sometimes you have district attorneys.
Yes.
Right?
We have ADAs.
You have lawyers. You got, sometimes a case, the guy has a big high-class lawyer comes in there and starts bobbing and weaving a little bit with you, but you cut them down a little bit, right?
Exactly.
Let them know that you're in Montgomery County.
Yep, exactly, exactly. But every case starts in the district court.
Right.
And we have 30 of us in Montgomery County.
30.
30 district courts in Montgomery County.
And how do you work that with, like, is there some time that somebody's off or something that they you set in like I know I had Judge Lawrence was saying sometimes you're on duty.
Oh, we have 24-hour duty. Yes, our rotation is 1 day a month.
1 day a month. You're on
right.
call. On call. I meant
right.
That's what I'm trying to
on
say.
Call.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's what happens. Okay.
Exactly. Right. And then we cover everything for the entire county. We have video conferencing now, so it's very easy that the police do not have to come.
Tell me about that. What was it now?
It's video conferencing. We had a system put in several years ago that would bring us together with the entire county. So if police have an arraignment at 2 o'clock in the morning, rather than having to bring them in person to your court, we can video conference and do everything over the video. And our computers are set up in such a way to prepare all our documents and then fax everything to the other department.
And that gives an even
It
flow.
saves all that travel time.
Right, okay.
So it saves a lot of expense, and it's also safer.
And so, in the wee hours of the morning.
Right.
Right. Okay, you know what? I have a policeman that just came in here. I want to put this, one of the East Norton police officers.
Yes, one of East
I want to come in
Norton's
here.
finest.
I got Judge, now ladies and gentlemen, we have a judge here. I told her I want her to wear, what do you call it, the gown?
The robe.
The robe, I call it the gown. And we have a police officer, I'm bringing him in. So we have a police officer in full uniform, okay? So can we just hold it a second? Just hold it until we get him situated here.
Certainly.
Okay, we're back again. Listen, we have a police officer with us. He was out on duty, he had a call, and he was a little late getting here, so now we're going to add to him now. Officer Carl Fisher, and you're a resource officer, and you're stationed at the
East Norton Middle School.
East Norton Middle School. Okay, so this is something new, right? A new thing where police officers are involved in
January
school.
2009, North County School District received
Okay.
a federal grant which placed officers in the middle schools throughout North County School District.
Judge, you know, this is all new. You know, years ago, the district justice didn't get involved in juvenile work. So now, the juvenile judge, not juvenile, but the district judge is more involved with it because of truancy and all. Now, tell me, what a classic case now, when a truancy case.
All right.
Who comes before you?
We have the parents, I have the parents and the child attend for a
Okay,
hearing if
and then
there's a truancy.
Who's there to prosecute?
Well, we have school home visitor officers
okay,
from the
okay.
school.
Home and school visitor, yeah,
Right.
years ago when I
Like
went to school.
truant
the truant
officers.
officer, you know.
Right, exactly.
You know.
But they have a better title now, but they are the ones who bring the cases into court and let us know what kids are not coming to
Okay,
school.
now, you can handle this, you look at it, and you look at the kid, you look at the family, you look everything, and you make that decision.
Right.
Because I don't know, I was just thinking, I don't think the fine is gonna be the thing. Can you use your discretion on any kind of discipline or?
Yeah, I'm
I
not
don't
looking
know.
at the case to make revenue. I am not looking for fines. I'm looking to get the child into school.
That's what I wanna hear.
So
That's
we
what I
hook
wanna
them
hear.
up with different agencies throughout the county, whether we get them involved with counseling, community service, tutoring. The PAL Center is very helpful. We make sure that we get these kids into programs that are going to help elevate them and get them back into school.
Right. Okay, now, your job. What is the classic thing that you do?
I act as a mentor, and I'm kind of a wealth of information within the school building.
Did children come out, or what grade is that? That's,
East Norton Middle School is grades 5 through 8. So I have 10 years old.
what grade, from when?
5 to 8.
8th grade?
8th grade, correct.
Wow,
And we have about 930 kids in the building.
no kidding.
So school, staff, and children, we have about 1,000 kids in that building on a given day.
How did they look at you like, you know, white guy or something? What happened?
To be honest, I'm very honest with the students there, and the teachers say that I have rock star status because,
Wow.
you know,
Can you sing?
yeah, I'm officer friendly
Well, you
until,
ought to sing
you know,
because when the moon hits your eyes, like, that's what you do. You gotta get, the kids gotta sing to them, get, do something.
I'm very honest with them. Most of the contact they have with me is very positive, and they don't forget about stuff like that. I have an after-school basketball program that I do at the middle school, where I'll take different groups of kids. They'll stay after school and play for an hour, and the kids love it.
Right.
So it's a
right.
positive impression, and it's probably it's a proactive approach instead of a reactive one.
Right. And then, but you don't get involved in any, you get involved also in arrest, if it's anything.
Correct. The school is pretty much my basic jurisdiction. So anything that happens on school grounds or within the building, I handle the criminal cases from start to
Okay,
finish.
now, what are a typical case that you would come before the judge?
Let's just say, going back to what we were talking about truancy and stuff, if we had a fight within the building and 2 kids were maybe issued citations for harassment, okay? It's a summary offense. I usually always say to the judge, hey, judge, listen, if you do the fine, the parent's going to end up cutting a check.
Right.
She'll say, you're right, let's go with community service. This way, the burden is now on the child and not on the kid.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, on the
use
parent.
any techniques. I was a policeman in Norristown in 1951. I don't know where you were in 1951.
I wasn't around.
And I had to use different techniques, And I remember one case where we used to, at that time, the juvenile missed so many days, accumulated so many days, then you petition the court, the juvenile court. Now, one time, the young lady, it was a Friday night, came to my office with her kid, and she wanted to put him away. She said, I want to sign a petition, put him away, you know. So I said, the little kid, a third grade, I think he went to St. Francis School, and the boyfriend was there, you know. And I like a small office. I like it because I can smell the breath of a guy's half bombed, you know. And so she's saying, I want to put him away. He won't listen to me. He won't talk. You know, it was a Friday night. Friday night, she wanted to most likely get him detained so they could go out and booze it up, whatever, okay? So, you know, I've been around a little bit. I come from a family, you know, 4 boys and 4 girls, you know, so I know what's a little bit about. So finally, so the kid's looking at his mother and says, I want him detained. I want this here. And the boyfriend, he just wanted to go to the next bar, I guess, you know. And finally, next thing, the kid's looking at his mother, and she's kept on telling me how bad he was. He wasn't listening. He won't do what he's told.
Right.
So finally I said, okay, boom. And I looked at the kid. I said, Johnny, why don't you listen to your mother? And he's still looking at his mother. I said, Johnny was deaf. Johnny was deaf. No wonder he didn't listen to his mother. Okay, now this kid was going to school. Now, just think of how much school he's missing out in.
Sure.
I went to the school with none and then at that time they had school psychologists and they checked him out and get him. So I felt I did something. I like to investigate. I want to find out why.
Sure.
I don't just want to go over there and make a little report. Yeah, he's a bad guy. Okay, write him up so she can go booze it up. Boom. Okay. And that's why a judge, you listen, right?
Well, also, you know, from my standpoint, if there's an issue within a household or with a particular kid, I'll get Officer Children and Youth involved as well. You know, something doesn't look right here. Maybe a referral needs to go down so that they can do their investigation. Now, I'm in East Norton. If a child resides in Norristown Borough, I don't have jurisdiction there, but they certainly do. So they'll go out to the house, they'll make the visits, and they'll see what's going on the other end.
Right. Okay.
And that's the whole thing, to get as many agencies involved and get help for the family to make sure that we can help this child to be able to achieve success.
Right. Now, when you're hearing a case, let's say it's a murder case, I mean a high-tech guy, and you got lawyers, district attorney pushing here, and a lawyer pushing back, whatever, and you have to make a decision, okay?
Yeah.
Now, what kind of ingredients? Well, I don't know if that's a word to use. What do you do?
Well, first you have your rules of court.
You go by
have
the
to
law,
abide by
okay,
the rules.
right. But the
And you
rules-
have to go by the evidence that is presented.
Right.
And you have to be fair.
Right.
You have to give both sides their day in court, but you have to be fair and you have to abide by the rules.
Can you say, well, wait a minute now, I'm going to delay this. Give me time to think about it. Can you do that, or you don't have to make
Not
it?
on a criminal case, no.
No?
Criminal cases, you have to decide at the end of that hearing.
No kidding.
Yes.
Wow. Ooh,
There
that's
again are
rough.
the rules.
Huh?
You decide at the end of the hearing. Now, on a civil case, I have 5 days. I have 5 days to make a decision.
Oh, on the civil, yeah, because
case.
it's so
Because
complicated.
there's a lot more complicated as far as going through maybe researching something, but you have 5 days to rule on a civil matter.
Well, now how about a family argument? When you get the husband and wife, the kid runs away, he comes back, the mother wants him back, and the father says, stay out, you know, and they go and argue back and forth, and then the cops come, you know.
Well, it
and-
depends if the police
Now,
have
what-
charges.
Yeah, so,
And most times, though, when it's a domestic, a lot of times at the hearing, the victim does not want to testify.
9 times out of 10, well, that's right,
Okay.
yeah.
They
Like
make
two-
up, they kiss and make up after you put an order saying no contact until the hearing. When you have the hearing, many times, you know, it does resolve itself before the hearing.
Yeah, we've had that when, in Norristown, the magistrate, at that time, was magistrate, I'm talking about years ago, and would come to City Hall at 9 o'clock in the morning for hearings, okay? So at 1 o'clock in the morning, the wife would come into City Hall with her lip bleeding, you know, and a swollen eye. My husband beat me up, and okay, so we go, boom, we wrap him up, you know, take him, lock him up, next noon, here it is, just for the judge. I don't want to press charges, you know.
It's
So-
typical and it's
That's what
frustrating
kept me, you know.
sometimes.
But also, the rules are a little bit different today, in as much as if the officer does see the abuse or sees the wounds of the
Okay,
victim.
I want to know that
he
changed,
can-
but I'm talking old time.
Well,
I'm
he
sure.
can he can then still testify, even though she may not want to.
Yeah.
If there were serious injuries and there's a police report, and he arrived and he saw that the place was a mess,
Right,
and
right.
the woman is bleeding, or the man, that he can then testify because of what he saw firsthand.
Right, well,
Okay,
that's-
so
well,
those
that's-
rules have
That's
changed.
good, that's
I
good.
mean, even though we didn't observe the fight, the
Actual.
punch in the face, which would be, let's just say, simple assault, so it's a misdemeanor, not in my view, but I can still make the arrest because it's domestic related.
Yeah,
And then it also takes some of the heat off of the wife because she's going to be crying, I don't want you to arrest him, don't arrest him. And I just kind of say, hey, it's not your call at this point, this is my decision.
well, you know, I had a little experience in the district justice office. What was the name of the district justice? Used to be, her office was the corner of Whitehall and Marshall Street.
That used to be Judge Elaine Adams.
Adams,
Judge
right,
Adams
okay.
and
Well,
her
we had a
dad had
hearing,
been-
there was a murder. When I was a county detective, there was a murder. This guy shot a guy at Gus's Diner. He shot the.
Oh, I
Yeah,
remember that.
Yeah, so I was one of the investigators on that, and the guy was a mental patient from the hospital, and we got him, so it was about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and he was a very religious guy, and he was talking about, he says, why did you shoot him? He says, well, because I think God needs a guy like that in heaven. I mean, you know, the guy didn't even know him. He shot him from a parked car right at Gus's Diner, where the presidential
Right.
is now. So we had a hearing there. We had all Chief Oscar Vance, the chief of police. The chief of police it's in West Norton, he was there. He was just an officer then, and he's about a big guy, right? So they're giving a hearing, okay? So the district justice that get a Bible, put him in the Bible. He says, I don't like that Bible. I want another Bible. Okay, so you know, and that place was crowded because they're real small, you know. Next thing you know, I was like talking to him. He talked a little bit about religion and all, you know, St. Anthony, you know, he was listening to me, calming him down. Finally, he got mad for some reason about the Bible, and she had a letter opener on her desk, and he grabbed the letter opener and went like that, you know. So I jumped up and I grabbed the hand, right? So I grabbed his hand. I'm holding one hand, and he had this loose. Pow! He hits me. Oh my God! I got a picture of him. I got a big black eye, you know, and everybody jumped up there. The chief, you see the chief. You tell him about that. He's the one that was holding me, you know. But remember that. Don't have any sharp instruments. Same thing with the family argument. You go in the kitchen. There's knives and bottles and stuff around. You got to be careful. You got to look at yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So what else?
Oh, I also do weddings.
Oh yeah. Come on. Tell me about the weddings
Well,
now.
June's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, we get a lot of calls from people. One time when I was on duty, you were asking me earlier about 24-hour duty, and I was on 24-hour duty on a Friday night. Got a phone call from the radio room asking if I could perform a wedding because somebody was being shipped out to Iraq and wanted to get married. And I went there and I went and did it. I was honored to do it. That was very, very
That's
nice.
great.
But we do weddings.
Yeah.
We can do weddings.
How long you been a policeman?
I'm going on 4 years.
4 years.
Yep.
And where you originally from?
East Norton.
Oh, that's good. You live in the town, you know the people.
Born and raised,
I
yeah.
think it's one of the nicest things. You married?
No, I'm not.
You know, uh-oh.
But I am in a
you sing?
relationship.
Wait,
I am in a relationship. We're going to put that out.
You have, he has a friend, okay. Let's
a
go
good friend.
Huh?
A good friend.
A good friend, a fiancé.
Not yet.
No. What's
Oh,
hey, you're a judge. What's a fiancé? I think it's a fancy name for, you know. This is my girl. I don't know. I think she's my fiancé. It's better than it's my girl. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm saving up, Judge.
You think maybe
relationship
fiancé
going.
close to marriage? But, okay,
Right.
I'll go along with you. Okay.
He's still young.
I just heard on the news that Vice President Gore, just his wife, is separated.
And we don't know why. We don't know why.
I don't know why. I don't know why. I love you like you do. Okay. So, all right. You know, now as a police officer, my grandson told me he took a test at the police department. I won't tell you which one it was. And they asked him, "Why do you want to become a policeman? Why did you want to become a policeman?"
I thought the job was interesting. I think the rotation of your schedule is different. The atmosphere is completely different. I could say that, you know, you do run into some of the same calls, but nothing is really ever the same. The variation of different things, the knowledge that it takes to be a police officer is something that I'm still learning 4 years into the job.
Right, yeah.
So it's interesting, and there's different avenues that you can go with it. I was on patrol for a year and a half, and now I'm doing almost, 95% of what I do is all juvenile work now.
Right.
And I'm actually trying to deter and keep kids from making the bad decisions that make them, they end up getting arrested.
Yeah, that's great. I know I spent, I guess, I was head of the juvenile division in Norristown, and then they created a position in district attorney's office in juvenile too, and I worked there. And I had an opportunity to travel, throughout the country, and talking about juvenile, what we do here in Norristown, and but I think it's good. It's good to get involved. And now kids come up to me, or not kids, but adults come up. Oh, Sergeant Cisco, I remember you helped me. That's. But that's another thing. How about bullying? We hear so much about bullying. What's the scoop?
Well, I can say that on my end of it, I have an anti-bullying promise, I call it, that I do with all my fifth graders. We have about 240 fifth graders. So I'll go to each individual classroom. I'll teach a PowerPoint to them about what bullying is, have them fill out a form on who they believe is a bully, if they've ever been bullied, things like that. And basically it'll help me pinpoint. I did it at the beginning of the last school year. And basically within like 2 weeks, I was able to narrow down to 20 bullies who the kids thought were bullies in fifth grade. And that information is then given off to guidance counselors who can then look over that data and work with those kids more closely. So there was a different approach, and I also teach kids who are being bullied how to not be bullied. And I kind of help surround them with a good support group of friends. So if a fifth grader is having issues, really doesn't know anybody, introduce them to good kids, surround him with good people, and give him a good structure, and then from there, it kind of dies down.
Can that bullying come to you?
Oh, yeah.
In a case like that, how would you dispose of a case like that?
Well, again, we have different programs, as I said, in the county, and there's BMI, which is offered at an agency not far from here, and it's free to the family. It's state funded, where the child goes for the seminar. It's, I think, two 2-hour sessions, and it's BMI, Brief Motivational Intervention. And they try to work with the kids.
Okay, good.
We have that on underage drinking, we have that on bullying. And again, all of those issues are trying to be addressed, but I think what happens, I don't know, from the time when we were kids and you see the kids today, the family is not involved as families used to be.
Yeah, right.
Before your neighbor was telling your mom if you did something wrong, and it was taken care of at home. And today, many of those issues are being left to, whether it's police officers or teachers.
When somebody else will bring them up.
Right, rather than handling it at home,
right,
and that's
right.
why the intervention is there.
Well,
That's why we get the agencies involved
think-
if we feel they're needed.
One of the most important things for a police officer, the most important person at a scene of a crime, the first police officer at that scene to protect the evidence, okay?
Sure.
And you're the first guy there, the family argument, the kid run away, find out why, find out why he ran away, whatever, that's important. See, I'll tell you how times have changed. When I first took over juvenile in Norristown, we would not allow to go in schools in uniform. So I had division, I had 4 guys working. In fact, Bambi was one of Pennington and Bugs and Prince Valley. I had 4 guys working juvenile, and we worked plain clothes. But it was a whole different ballgame. We got to know the parents, the whole family. That's important to get to know the people.
I mean, it's unbelievable when you have me. I'm put over there, and I'm not at Eastern Middle School because it's a bad building or we have issues. I'm there as a preventive measure. I'm there as a proactive person to help kids make the right decisions. I mean, on any given day, I'm over there all the time.
Yeah.
But 2 officers may come in to say hi to me and do a walk through that building. Now you have 3 uniformed police officers just walking through the building, greeting and saying hi to kids. There's 3 patrol cars out front. If someone was going to come to that building, let's just say, and wreak havoc, would he come to East Norton Middle School, or is he going to maybe go somewhere else? Because why would I go there? There's already 3 police officers there.
It's a good deterrent.
Right. I'll go somewhere else. I mean, and that's kind of the mindset.
That's tough. You got what grade? From 5th to 8th, you say?
5th to 8th, correct.
When Norristown was the Washington School, Lincoln School, Hart Ranch School, St. Patrick's, Holy Savior, they're all gone, okay? And, we had the safety patrol, which I don't think they do anymore now.
We don't have that anymore.
And it was, but things changed.
But I mean, I will tell you this, let's just say if I know a lot of kids, and kids will report information to me on things that are going on within the building because they're comfortable and they trust in me. Any given month, I may prevent 10 fights. So 10 fights, 2 people each fight, that's 20 kids. And now that's 20 discipline referrals that the school doesn't have to deal with because I was able to find out what was going on, intervene, and teach a kid how to verbally talk about a situation instead of physically fighting. And for a lot of these kids, that's the first time they've ever had anybody tell them, you don't fight, you shouldn't fight.
All right, I want to close this with but I'm a former professional boxer, referee, okay? And I use boxing gloves for bullies, okay? We had guys that thought they were tough. They couldn't. They thought they were tough, you know. They couldn't even lick a postage stamp. But we put the boxing gloves on, you know, and put them. They didn't want to fight, but yet they wanted to fight. They wanted to had a crowd to watch them, you know, everything. So I had a little gym down City Hall, okay? But now you can't do that now. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
But
you can't.
so, ladies and gentlemen, the half hour is over, and look, I'm really proud of you. The
Thanks
first
for
time I
having
met
me.
you, and I think you're going to be a great success. You know,
appreciate it.
You know, the people move you forward. Do good, and the people move you forward. As my mother said, you know, and that's most important. And Judge, I'll
Thank you.
repeat, you're one of the most respected judges in Montgomery County, and I want to thank you for coming. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got something out of this. You know, if you were an aunt and uncle, or mama, papa, gumbari, or gumbari, you know, it's good to know. An informed nation is a peaceful nation. So until we meet again, we don't have anything for you.
Salud.
You came late, so we'll just
Salud.
we'll drink a toast to you. Allah salud. Right. I got one for you. You can hang in your office. A little token of appreciation here. Ah, come on, baby.